People often tell us that we need to be in charge of everything in order to be successful and happy. The more we try to control something, the more it gets out of hand. We're tired and lost, and we think the real key is in the opposite, letting go and separating. Stop worrying about what you can't change and focus on your journey. This is what Stoic thought isn't about. You can't be heartless or avoid taking responsibility. You have to know what you can change. When you learn to let go and focus, you learn when to let go of things you can't change. On what really counts, you'll not only find peace, but you'll also find an inner. In today's video, I'll show you a strength you didn't know you had. Use 7 useful ways to let go of things that aren't important and concentrate you're on your own road. These are real-life lessons I've learned. I've learned a lot, so pay attention and don't miss a single part of this video. This could be the first thing that leads you to your true path. Number 1. When less is more, I want to start with a simple, this is a tough question. What is taking up too much of your time? Be things like ties and other people's hopes, or even those negative thoughts that won't go away. We often think that having more will make us happy, but is that really true? Gather, the more worn out we get, the more we hold on, and the worse it feels. Being a Stoic taught me that happiness doesn't come from adding weight. Epicurus once said that he is a smart man who does not need to learn how to let go of things. He laments the things he doesn't have and is happy about the things he does have. After years of working hard to be successful, this quote woke me up. That's what I used to think a well-paying job would give me. But when I finally got it, I saw that I had only given up one kind of chains for another person because of stress at job, family, and societal expectations, and I was always afraid of failing, which wasn't freedom, it was a golden cage. I had locked myself in, and there came a time when I chose to let go of everything. I have a safe job, no need for social connections, and I even compare myself to others all the time. I packed a small bag and left the city with it. I spent a few months living. At first, living in the country with no internet or busy life made me feel uneasy. Schedules and no one to tell me of what I needed to do. But over time I started to feel, and it felt strangely good to know that I didn't have to force myself to be the person that society thought I should be. I started to see beauty in the little things, like the morning sunlight, the smell of new grass, and the peace that came over me. Marcus Aurelius once wrote that the things you think about show how smart you are. Your soul takes on the color of your ideas. When I let go of bad thoughts and invisible pressures, I found that I feel calmer and more at ease than ever. But how do we really live? With less, it's not just about getting rid of things, it's a deep way of living. First step on your spiritual path, try being aware every day. Set aside some time. It may sound easy to just sit still and do nothing, but in today's busy world, it's not. When you let yourself, it's really hard to sit still without feeling bad or stressed. Pause, you'll start to see what you really need next. Clean up both of your living. You can start by clearing out your room and mind, by getting rid of things you don't need. Things you keep around the house just in case, but they just take up space area. Also look at the relationships and thoughts that drain your. Is it necessary for you to maintain contact with everyone? Do all of their complaints deserve your attention? Another thing that has helped me a lot is keeping a simple journal instead of writing a long list of everything. Every morning, I write down only the 3 most important things I need to do that day. This helps me keep my mind on what's important and not get caught up in small things. By the end of the day, I feel accomplished. Even if I've only finished, I know it's hard to let go of those 3 small jobs. We cling to the familiar. Let go because it makes us feel safe, but it's in the act of letting go that you'll find. He said that it's not the man who has too little, but the man who, if you stop wanting things you don't need, you'll feel better. Think about how much better your life would be if you let go of everything that doesn't serve you, no longer helps your way. What if the need for wouldn't bother you? If you stopped comparing yourself to other people, I think you'd find and the peace you've been looking for all along. One last thing before we move on to the next lesson. Last question. What would your life be like if you only kept the things that really mattered today? Look like, let this question lead you back to yourself, because you don't just find freedom when less is everything, when real self number two, the beauty of letting it happen. Let go and picture yourself standing next to a river. In your hand is a small leaf, which stands for all of your fears and problems. You find yourself gripping tightly, unwilling to release it. But the longer you hold on, the more the leaf dies, the more tired you are. So why not let it out into let the water float away? That's not a loss. That's freedom. That's the beauty of giving up. Stoic thought isn't the same thing as letting go of your feelings or becoming. It teaches you to face life with clarity and see that everything changes, and beauty lies in those changes, as Marcus Aurelius wrote. Always remember that everything changes, and get used to thinking about that. The world loves nothing more than to change things as they are and make new things happen. They said that life is a flow that never stops, and if you can learn to let it run, you'll find yourself living more honestly and lightly. Ali, have you ever thought about that? What hurts you about a relationship that's over is that you're hanging on to it. Makes you happy, but you can't leave because you're afraid. Being alone, having a job that wears you down, but that you won't leave because you're afraid of. If you said yes, you're not the only one. I once held on to a job I had almost given up on, was putting all of my heart into, even though it was clear it wasn't going to help me on my road, and faith in it. But the more I tried to move forward, the lost I felt, until one day I asked myself, does doing this really make me happy? And the answer was no. Anyway, I let go. And as I let it move away, I had a strong sense of I felt like I had just dropped a big backpack after a long trip. Epirus taught us that we can't change what happens to us, but we can change how we react to it. This also applies to how we perceive and respond to it. Instead of fighting life's flow, why not go with it and find what you're looking for? There will be new chances along the way, so how do you learn to let go as a Stoic? But sincere way, learn how to lose by accepting the art of it. Every day, pick one small thing to let go of. It could be the stress when someone cuts you off in line, or when you don't meet your own standards. Think of these things as leaves. On the water, you could hold on to them, but why would you? Letting them float away will make you feel better. Method is to practice the art of change every morning when you wake up. Sometimes what you have today might not be there tomorrow. Take a moment to remember this. Negative, but it actually helps you enjoy the present more and disconnect from outside things. When you learn to enjoy each moment without worrying about what you might lose. You can also try write an unsent letter to yourself or someone you're having a hard time letting go of. Write down all of your thoughts, feelings, and hopes. When you're done, don't send. It's better to burn or tear up the letter and throw it away. Seneca once said, "Start right away to let out your feelings without directly addressing anyone." Every day is a new chance to live, so don't waste time on things that aren't important. Every day in your mind is a new life, and you can choose what to do. Remember that letting go is something you will take with you on that journey. Letting things drift away doesn't mean giving up. You're not losing. You're just making room for better things to happen. Like letting go of you're not making the kite go away. You're just making it soar higher, freer, and you will also rise. So what are you ready to let go of? What worries will you let go of today and throw into the river of life? Find the peace and freedom in your soul again and share your story in the Leave Your Thoughts below. I'd love to hear them and walk this trip with you. Follow me on YouTube if you want to feel a little better every day. I post new videos every day, encourage and help you on your way to becoming yourself again. Number 3, unseen chains choose what to wear. Have you ever felt stuck but couldn't find any walls or with no locked doors in sight? It's like swimming in a pool with no walls. Not really, but it feels like a lot of rocks are tied to your feet. No one is stopping us, not our families, not our jobs, not society. The chains that keep us from moving forward are the ones we've put on ourselves. Imagine standing in the middle of a busy square, hundreds of eyes seemingly watching your every move. You're tense, worried about every small action. Are you afraid of being judged? Well, here's the irony. No one is paying attention to you. Marcus Aurelius wrote it. All busy with their own invisible chains. It always amazes me how much we love ourselves more than other people, are more interested in what they think than what we think. Isn't that strange? I remember the first time I realized those chains weren't there. I did a lot of bad things when I turned down a job because I thought I wasn't good enough. I said that job wasn't right for me because I wasn't ready yet, but the truth was, I was. I was afraid of failing, and the sad looks people would give me if I didn't do well. But then I understood it wasn't the job that was stopping me, was fear. And when I got rid of that fear, and not only did I find a better job, I also felt a deep sense of getting rid of the rocks in my bag made me feel like I could breathe again. So how do we get out of these chains? The first thing we need to do is, it's important to ask yourself, am I doing this because I want to or because I'm... When you feel pressure, take a moment to figure out where it's coming from. It could be fear of being turned down or the need to be perfect. But here's the thing, if you want to feel like you'll never be enough, don't try to be perfect. Instead, write down your thoughts. Write down 3 things that have been tying you down lately. It could be other people's demands. If you feel stressed at work or afraid of failing, ask yourself, am I letting this happen? Most of the time, the worst-case scenario is what you should do. Situation is only brief pain, but you gain in return. Freedom Seneca once said that our minds hurt us more than our bodies. We hurt more in our minds than in real life because we're so afraid of failing. Our fear of rejection prevents us from even attempting. We love, but we're afraid of being hurt. What we fear isn't always as scary as we think it is. And even when failure is a part of life, it's not the end. Another great way I like to deal with it is by practicing. Surprisingly, if you're afraid of being turned down, put yourself in settings where you might are turned down. Ask for small things you know they'll probably say no to, like getting a deal at a store that doesn't have sales. The more you do this, the more you'll see that rejection doesn't have any power over you. Those unseen chains will start to open up. Remember that freedom doesn't mean having no ties. It means when you know the limits you've set for yourself, you know which ones really count. You'll know which ones are caused by fear or demands, and which ones are your own. Power to choose. You can decide not to let fear run your mind or let unseen. You feel stressed out at that very moment, and you'll have an inner power. Bring out the strength of someone who is truly free from within. When you wake up one morning with no worries or stresses, just you and your way, you can... It's easy to walk without feeling heavy from imaginary weights, and the best part is, you don't need to. Anyone to help you get those chains off, you hold the key to their disappearance. If you don't believe them, you'll see that you were free the whole time. Now is the time to break them and start living the life you really want. Want number 4, to leave without moving. We often think that to get away from someone in a bad situation, we need to do something. We need to move to a new place and quit your job, end a relationship, or even go on a long trip to find we can do things. But the Stoics taught us another way, that you don't have to go anywhere. You just have to let go of what stops you from going. This is how to leave without taking a single step. Had a friend who was always unhappy at work because he hated his boss. He didn't like his co-workers, and getting out of bed every morning was a fight. If he could only find, if I had a different job, everything would be better. But after a few changes, that unhappy feeling wouldn't go away, and he finally figured out what was wrong. It wasn't the job, it was how he saw it. He began to follow the Stoic mindset. Refusal to let outside factors control his feelings. Instead of complaining about his boss, he focused on what he could change to get things done faster. He began to respond more positively, and when he paused, an unexpected event occurred. When he fought against his job, his unhappiness went away. He had quit, even though he was still in the same place. Do you see the bad vibes? Something you may have thought about before, if you had a better job, more money, or people. But the truth is that even if those things happened, you'd still be unhappy. It doesn't matter what happened. What matters is how you deal with it. You let those things bother you. Epictetus once said, it's not things that bother us, but you can live with them no matter what we think they mean. This quote woke me up. That's what I used to think a well-paying job would give me. But when I finally got it, I saw that I had only given up one kind of you live in the same world as everyone else. But how you see it makes it very different. In fact, leaving isn't about running away. It's about not letting things that aren't necessary happen. Things have power over your mind, so how can you use this in real life? The skill of observing yourself when you're upset, angry, or scared. Don't respond. Instead, ask yourself right away, does this feeling really reflect reality, or is it was just how I understood it? Acknowledging that difference is the first step. Step to getting rid of bad feelings. Second, practice mental. Keeping your distance when you're in a bad position. Imagine you're someone from the outside looking at you, likely if someone insults you. Imagine that you are the main character in a video and you don't want to reply right away. Character. Does it still seem as important as you thought it was at first? Keep your feelings separate from your deeds. This will help you stay calm and handle things better. Finally, be smart and practice gratitude. It's one of the most strong tools in Stoicism. No matter what, take a moment every day to write down 3 things you're thankful for. Little warm cup of coffee in the morning sun shining through the... When you think about what you have, you can read these words or look out a window. You'll realize that you no longer feel like you lack anything and are happy with your life. Go. Now let me ask you, what are you holding on to that doesn't help you anymore? Your growth? Are you stuck in a room you've made for yourself that you can't see? Please keep in mind that you don't have to change the world to be free. Freedom starts inside you. No matter how you choose to see and deal with life, you can leave at any time, for a moment without moving, and when you do, you'll see that you've always been the key to your peace and happiness, and now you've made it. It's halfway through our journey together. Please like this video to mark this important milestone that not many people reach. Not everyone is brave and patient enough to face their fears and look into the darkest parts of their thoughts. Always keep in mind that each step of this journey is important, and only. The picture of letting go and focusing on your own road will really come together when you get to the end, so don't take it away. Now take your eyes off the video. The most important part is still coming up at the end. Walk alone. The power of peace and quiet. Have you ever tried sitting in a busy cafe without touching your phone or looking around for a friend? You're just sitting there by yourself. That must have felt weird, uncomfortable, or maybe empty. We live in a world where people often think that how busy and linked we are shows how valuable we are. If I told you that you really tap when you step away from the crowd, would you believe me? In your inner strength. The Stoic theory doesn't tell us to live alone, but it does show us that stillness and solitude are the ways to find inner freedom. I used to think that to be strong, I needed approval from a group of people to prove my worth. But then, on a day when it rained so hard that all of my plans fell through, I was having to spend the whole day by myself, without any friends, laughing, or lively talks with only me and my thoughts, the same ones I've always had. That's when I realized we're not afraid of being alone. We're afraid of you have to face yourself. Have you ever thought about who you are when no one is looking or liking you? When you come across posts that either praise or criticize you, the answer lies in the quiet ones, moments, and it's amazing what you find when you walk alone. You will discover not only yourself, but also a quiet, steady strength. The strength of being happy with who you are. Epictetus once said that freedom is the only right goal. Life is won by ignoring things we can't change, so why do we do it? If we care so much about what other people think, why don't we let our minds wander? We can go our own way instead of always following someone else's. You don't have to give up if you want to practice going alone. Don't surrender everything and strive to reach the top. Instead, try small but difficult things. Things like going a day without social media or texting anyone in the evening. There will be a lunch with just you and your journal at first. Being empty. But you know what? It's in that empty space that you'll finally have the I always make time to give myself room to really listen to myself. You should try it. It's so easy you'll wonder why you didn't before. After a long day, write down 3 things that make you feel good by yourself. Don't write anything else. Write down the truth, not what you think other people want to hear. Write every day for yourself. You'll notice that the bad thoughts start to go away, making room for peace. That's the quiet power you've been looking for. If you're afraid that going by yourself will make you weak, leave you behind, remember that Seneca's words are linked to people who are likely to make you better. Welcome those who you can help. We both learn and teach when you're strong, so the process is always getting better. You're strong enough to go it alone, and you also know how to pick relationships that count. Are you living your own life or the life other people want you to live? If you walk by yourself, you'll find that everything you've been looking for outside of you has always been there. There is no sound or presence. It's just you and the path you choose. It takes courage to keep going, even if you're walking by yourself, because occasionally we find peace and quiet when we're alone. The right way to move forward, and when you learn to value those single steps, to enjoy the path you've set out for yourself, you'll understand that freedom isn't what you thought it was, but what is real freedom. I'll tell you about the meaning of freedom in the 6th music lesson. Freedom is not what. What do you think of first when you hear the word freedom? It could be last-minute trips with no plans or a job where no one is over your shoulder. Having the freedom to say and do whatever you want without fear of stop for a moment and ask yourself, is that really freedom? Or is it just a trick we play on ourselves while wearing unseen chains we don't want to show? Picture yourself on top of a cliff, surrounded by nothing but sky. There's nothing or no one stopping you in the open area, but you're worried about, what will people think of me if I fail? Things that haven't even happened yet me. And just like that, even though your body is in the middle of nowhere, mind is stuck in a small space of worry and fear. Is that really freedom? A stern man named Epictetus, who used to be a slave, said something that really made me think. Freedom means the right to live our lives however we want. We want freedom, but we don't always see that freedom isn't just the right thing to do. It's the right thing to do to let go of the bad feelings we have unknowingly clung to. I remember going to a very important meeting one time. Everything was going well, until someone said something that went against what I thought. Right away, I felt defensive and angry, ready to fight to protect my point of view, but then I asked myself, does this really matter? Why am I here? I allowed a single word to ruin my entire day. That's when I realized I was giving someone else control of my feelings, and when I let go of I felt lighter and freer than ever. So how do we get there? This kind of freedom. The next time you feel angry, try this easy stretch. When you feel stressed or angry, take a moment to ask yourself 3 questions. It's up to me to decide if letting go of this emotion will help the problem. How would I feel? You'll be surprised to learn that most of the things that bother you is out of your hands, and it's how attached you feel to those things that makes you feel. Another thing you can do is slow down for a day and go 24 hours without. Instead of running through a busy schedule to check social media, take a moment to think about what you're thinking. When you're not feeling well, pay attention to your body and your feelings. When outside noise takes your attention away, you'll understand that freedom isn't about what you do. It's more about feeling the peace that comes from letting go of stress. Seneca once said that a man is as no matter how unhappy he thinks he is, freedom or not, happiness or not, it all depends on, if you change the way you think about life, you can change your whole world. Imagine waking up one day and not having to prove anything to anyone and not being bothered by the past. When you don't worry about the future, you can live fully and happily in every right now. That's real freedom. And the best part is, you don't have to go anywhere, or you don't have to change into someone else to find freedom. It's always been inside you. Now, are you ready to break free from the chains that are holding your mind back? And start living in real freedom. Freedom doesn't come from outside, it starts inside. From the inside out, if you think it's time to take charge of your thoughts and feelings. Freedom inside. To Mark. The moment you start this journey, don't wait any longer. Let go of what doesn't help you and start living. The 7th person today owns nothing and has it all. It sounds strange to have everything and own nothing at the same time, doesn't it? But things that don't make sense are sometimes the most important. The truth is that having more is the most important thing in our life. Better luck, more money, and more social media fans. But hold on a second. Take a moment to think about whether more things really do make us happier. Stoicism tells us that not the person who has the least, but the person who always wants more. More seriously, aren't our never-ending wants what really wear us out? We try to be successful like everyone else, but when we get there, we feel empty. Then we rush to find something else to fill the hole. But how? How do we let go and really be happy? Don't worry, this isn't going to be a dry first. Let's do an easy exercise. Imagine that you wake up tomorrow, and how would you feel if you lost everything? Your money, your job, even your home. It's strange that when you let your mind think about the worst case, suppose you wake up and realize you're still okay. You still have your mind and yourself, your health and your power to start over with negative imagery. Thinking about what you would lose helps you understand that what you have is not what you value. Marcus Aurelius said, "Strength is not in what you own, but in who you are when you have nothing." Pretty much everything you need to live a happy life is already inside you. The idea that a hot cup of tea in the morning can sometimes bring more happiness than any fancy car or mansion, but we often get caught up in people in our society judge our success by what's outside of us. The funny thing is, when you know you have everything you need and no longer need it. Have you ever met someone who lives a simple life but is always happy and smiling? Maybe it's the friendly security, the guard who smiles at you every morning, or the street seller whose funny stories make you laugh. On the other hand, some people don't have much but enjoy every moment, have everything but are always unhappy because they're afraid they'll lose it. Possess. So, who's wealthy? And here's a secret. Don't forget to clean up. Every day, Clean up your mind the same way you clean your room. Write down 3 things. If you want to be happy, ask yourself, would I really be happy if I didn't have these? As time goes on, you'll see that many of those things are just illusions. I still remember the moment I gave up my need to own everything. It was when I chose to. I sold the most expensive phone I had ever bought and got a simple one instead. I only made calls at first because I thought I was going to fall behind, lost in the fast-paced world of tech. But then I found out I wasn't. I wasn't distracted by constant alerts anymore, and I stopped comparing myself to. I felt better when I was around other people on social media. Freer. I didn't have a smartphone anymore, but I was free and at peace. If you're going to live that way, you should ask yourself what you might own. That thing, person, or thing that you just can't throw away, let go of. Get rid of an old dream that doesn't fit who you are when you're ready to. By doing these things, you're not only making more space, you're also soul. Remember that letting go doesn't mean giving up. It means making a choice. What really means to you and letting the rest go, leaving you with nothing but having everything, doesn't mean giving up on life. It means living. You have to be fully in it with a free spirit and an empty heart. When you get to that place, you'll understand that you don't need anything else since you already have it. We've just looked at 7 strong ways to let go and separate from things that don't serve you, no longer helps you, and focus on your own unique path, which could be any of these. You caught a glimpse of yourself when you were trying to keep things under control. Everything, but you were exhausted when you held on to the past and forgot about it. To live in the present. But here's what you'll find when you let go. You gain something far instead of losing anything. More valuable, you find a freer that is lighter and stronger than the gift that Stoicism gives to people who are brave enough to let go of. If this video spoke to you, hold on tight and believe their journey. In any way, but you haven't hit like yet, leave a little thanks so much for your message. I'd love to hear what you think. Please leave a note and share your story. Also, share this message with anyone you think might need to hear it today. Kindly show them this video. You never know how it will make a difference. It might finally have you sign up, because there's so much more. Coming your way are ideas and advice. Thanks for being here, and we'll see you in the next video.